we're going to have simultaneous translation from the booth backwards. My friend is already over there. Kolaylıklar diliyorum hayatım. Teşekkür ediyoruz. So you could have either ways, from English to Turkish or from Turkish to English, which means to the friends from the world, you could use your headphones. Yes, exactly. Halı haftamız dün sabah alım eğitimi kapsamında yurt dışından gelen halı firmalarının Türk İslam Eserleri Müzesi Vakıflar Müzesi'ndeki toplantılarıyla başladı. Ardından dün gece tasarım yarışmamızı gerçekleştirdik. Hem ihracatın yıldızlarına sertifikalarını verdik hem genç arkadaşlarımıza. Nerede o finalistler? Gençler neredesiniz? Evet. Evet, hepsi buradalar. Almanya yolcuları. Beraber sahneni ve sahnenin heyecanını paylaştık. Bu genç arkadaşlarımızın tasarım ürünlerini fuayede izleme şansınız oldu. Halıları imal edildi. Bugün bu halı konferansında 6 değerli uzman konuşmacıyı dinleyeceğiz. Uzaklardan gelen dostlarımız var. Türkiye'de bu işi kendine dert edinmiş duayenlerimiz var. Hızlıca bu işi bitirdikten sonra 2 saat içinde size önce öğle yemeğine davet edeceğim. Arka tarafta yine Armada Otel'in içinde gerçekleşecek olan ve sonra da B2B görüşmelerimiz başlayacak. Bu arada Anna Parosya'nın da heyecan verici bir halı atölye çalışması olacak. Herkese açık. Gece ise, daha doğrusu akşamüstü saatlerinde ise bir mucizenin aslına bakarsanız nasıl gerçeğe dönüştüğüne tanıklık edeceğiz. İlk defa Şerefiye Sarnıcı'nda olağanüstü antikalılardan meydana getirilen çok özel bir sergiyi izleme şansınız olacak. Açılışını birlikte gerçekleştireceğiz. Selçuk Bey, 4'te mi ayrıldınız oradan? 5'i çeyrek geçe, ona yatmak denmiyor tabii, uzanmak deniyor herhalde. Çünkü sabah yine buradaydınız. Bunun hikayesini birazdan burada dinleyeceğiz. Konferansın formatını hızlıca hatırlatıyorum. Konuşmalar 20 dakika. 20 dakika bittiğinde şunu duyacaksınız. Evet, bunu duyacaksınız. Çok heyecanlı, neşeli bir müzik ama aslında size sürenizin bittiğini haber veren müzik. This is the signal that your 20 minutes is definitely over. And we need to proceed with the next speaker. So when you hear that, it means you have 2 minutes to wrap up. And if you see me on stage walking towards you, then it means you definitely have to. That's it. Yeah, exactly. So that's for the foreign friends from the world who are going to be on stage in a minute. İlk konuşmacımız Türk turizm sektörünün ve rehberlik mesleğinin duayenlerinden, kurucularından desek herhalde abartmış olmayız. Türk halıcılığını şüphesiz ki en iyi bilen isimlerden biri. Dünya çapında tanıtılması, bir marka değerine sahip olması için büyük emekleri var. Aynı zamanda bu işin öğretmeni, yani eğer Türk halısı nedir biraz öğreneyim falan derseniz kapısını çalacağınız ilk isimlerden biri. Kanada'da yaşadığı dönemde 9 ay bir televizyon kanalında Türkiye'yi tanıtan yayınlar da gerçekleştirmiş biri. Aynı zamanda bir yayıncı yani. Alkışlarınızla ilk konuşmacımız M.Aydın Eroğlu geliyor efendim. Türk halısının starı olarak sizi alıyoruz efendim. Günaydın, hoş geldiniz. Zaten buradaydınız, sabahtan beri çalışıyorsunuz farkındayım. Nasılsınız? Gayet iyiyim, sağ olun. Siz de harika gözüküyorsunuz.
Çok teşekkürler.
Sahne sizin.
Bütün enerjiniz bana da geldi.
Harika, öyle olsun istiyoruz. Buyurun.
So, good morning everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues from all over the world, it's an honor to have you all in my country and share with you the information I have been able to pile up in the last 52 years, first as a guide and then as a trainer in the field of carpets, the Turkish carpet namely, which I have spent. So I'm going to try and squeeze all that into 20 minutes before the wonderful lady walks towards me. I have to get it all done and finished. So, our story, of course, if it's a carpet, it was made somewhere. And so you have to understand the highlights, history, and Turkish carpet history. It's all in here. So you can get the background from all of that. Where did it all start? Evet, Göbekli Tepe'yi alalım. Görüntü. Now, we have Yarımburgaz Caves, about 20 minutes to the airport, the old airport in Istanbul. 800,000 years ago, first man was inhabited there. How many of you ever heard of this date? 800,000 years ago. It's even hard to say it. The next one is Göbekli Tepe temples, 12,000 years ago. This is where men's first temples were built by the early Flintstones. And so this year is Göbekli Tepe year in tourism. It's very important, and I hope you will visit it someday and find out more about it. Then we come to Istanbul, to the metro station in Yenikapı. When they were constructing it, they found some 38 ships like that, sunk under the mud from a 11th century tsunami. And so it was left without oxygen. The cargo is intact, and one day they will display it on site as a museum, I hope. That's 8,500 years ago. So you can see the footsteps of early Istanbulians at Yenikapı. Then, of course, we come to our first carpet ever discovered. That doesn't mean men didn't make carpets before that one, but it happens to be the earliest of all the discovered ones in the Pazarık Altay Mountain mound some 2,500 years ago. And the Russian archaeologist Sergei Rudenko discovered it in 1947. And Sergei Rudenko had it displayed eventually in Leningrad's Hermitage Museum. You can see it's almost 90% intact because it was frozen for all the 2,500 years. It was a nomad, a horseman, who was buried with his horse because they believed in life after death. So one day they would come back to the world and begin life, and the horse had to be there. It's like being buried with our credit cards today, hoping it will work when we come back. But that was the belief, is why we keep finding in these earlier burials that they're buried with the belongings. That is the reason for it. Now, the design of this is very interesting. In the outer bordure, we here see some horsemen. Some are riding on the horse, and some are walking next to the horse. Nomadic horsemen. In the center, we see, one more thing here. In the center of this, we see Osiris. This is the design of Osiris, the Egyptian god of the underworld, for burials, and the judge of the dead. So that is an Egyptian design they were using. And then we have, in the next one, in the center, the reindeer. Now, reindeer is part of the first carpet, and today, if you're ever by the Bering Strait, there's a Chukchi Sea, and the Chukchi nomads live there. Now, they maintain their lifestyle with the reindeer. They cultivate them, they use the skin for tents, and they eat the reindeer. So this is the reindeer that existed 2,500 years ago and became part of the very first carpet. Now, one thing for sure, this is the heritage we have acquired from our ancestors. So the culture belongs to the humankind. We're all part of it. Wherever we come from, we're sharing the same culture. In the next one, as a result of all of that, here, I don't know if you've ever been in Arizona, but there is a tuba city here. T-U-B-A. That's a Turkish girl's name, by the way. Okay? And Tuba is where the Navajos live today. They make carpets. And they may have made designs like this upside-down tree, which is in this Mujer carpet. You see the branches are downwards. And that is made by the Turks in Mujer Kırşehir. But basically, some of my colleagues may disagree with me, and that's okay, but that is how it's done. The tree of life is also a Navajo design. Can you imagine these peoples are continents away from each other? Kayseri in central Turkey and Tuba City in Arizona. But they are using the same design with the birds of paradise. So we are sharing the same common culture is what I'm trying to say here. Okay? We also use these cross designs in döşemealtı carpets. And the Navajos used it. This is long before the Abrahamic faith ever existed. They were making these carpets. They were using them in central Anatolia, in all those places. So we are using that design in goodness to Saint Nicholas from Demre. We're using that design. To understand all of this, I was lucky enough to find out from one of my students in the United States. She said, all these designs you're talking about, now this man, Spencer Wells, Journey of Men movie, and the book has come out, and he says in the last 50,000 years, there are only 2 Y chromosomes from father to son. And those 2 Y chromosomes, 90% of all of us, Europeans, Asians, North and South Americans, Africans, we belong to that 90%. The 10% is Australians and New Zealanders. So all the men in the world come from those 2 Y chromosomes in the last 50,000 years. That's what he has discovered. He's also discovered that if you take out a DNA chromosome and you unravel it, do you know how far it goes? To the moon and back. 3,000 times. In Turkish we say, ne alem adam. We are all alemin inside and outside. We just don't realize all this. It's the information that's important. CNN says information is the most important commodity in the world. But I'd like to add one word to it. It has to be correct information. If it's not correct information, then where are we? Lost in the internet. So, here is a silkworm cocoon. If you unravel it, you will get a mile-long filament. And if you have 25,000 of these, it will go around the equator once. That's 40,000 kilometers, 25,000 miles. And if a lady, patient enough, with 645 double knots in a square inch, can make this headache carpet in 2 years, and it will be enough material used in that carpet. 25,000 cocoons are required to make the carpet. Basically, the Turks, as our wonderful announcing lady here has described, are happy with the double knot, wrapping twice on 2 adjacent warp threads. The Iranians have used a single knot. The Turks and the Iranians are the 2 superpowers of the Turkish and Oriental and Persian handmade carpets. I'm talking about handmade carpets right now, okay? The superpowers for the last 2,500 years. And we spend more time with the double knot, but it gives you a more durable carpet. And here is how the kilims are woven, by the way. And in order to express myself a little better, I have to tell you, handmade carpets are unique and can never ever be duplicated. I'm sorry. Duplicated. That's why I have this twin Taşpınar from central Turkey, made by the same girl using the same loom one after the other. And until she would cut this in the center, you see she's done it 2 in a row. It's a twin carpet. But as you know, each day she finishes the lines, she will beat it down with the iron comb and then clip the excess pile in order to have a square carpet. But at the end, if you measure this one versus the next one, there's about an inch longer on one than the other, and about half an inch wider than the other. That's why you can never ever duplicate a handmade carpet. They're all unique, and this is why they're collectibles. Okay, very important. And that's why they're different than machine-made carpets, which you can duplicate by the thousands. That's where the value of the handmade carpets come from. Here I have for you a kilim and a carpet woven together from Yalvaç in central Turkey. And then the carpet and the kilim, and very much so Indian type looking designs are visible here. And I also have brought from my own home a prayer carpet that's 100 years old from Kars. I'd like you to understand how the sheen changes when I move the carpet around. Why is that? Because in the wool, it has to have lanolin, which is an organic substance that increases the value in time because of the durability it reaches with the lanolin content. And so that's where the sheen is coming from, and that's why it is a collectible. The next one, as we have on here, is the famous black church in Brașov, Romania, inside which you can see 103 Turkish carpets from Selendi, West Turkey. 16th, 17th century carpets are on exhibit. And that's the largest of all the Transylvanian collections in the world in one place. If you're lucky in Turkey, we may see some 10 carpets like that. But they have over 100 in that one church. And then it was the export place into Europe. Transylvania is why that is where they were all compiled. We influenced the Europeans tremendously between the second half of the 15th and the second half of the 17th centuries for 200 years. In Turkey, in the villages, when people die, they're wrapped up in carpets, taken to the mosque to be washed before being buried. And they would leave some of those carpets in the mosque for future use. You see here, the European aristocrats are lying on Turkish carpets before they're being buried. The same tradition has gone to Europe. Europeans have used our carpets on very interesting places, like the Somerset Conference of 1604. One side is the Spanish, the other side is the British. They're signing this 19-year-old war ending on a Turkish carpet. And then we see here the star-patterned English carpet, made in an English workshop in 1585. But it has the Duke's special trademark. And so today, if you see Turkish carpets, hereke, made in China in Xinjiang, and sold here as if they are Turkish, I have to warn our people in the industry to be very careful with that. And that is okay. Because if you're a trademark, they will copy you. And that was so in the 16th century in Europe. In the 21st century in the world, Turkish carpets are copied. Please don't call them cloned. Cloned is something else. When you feel a 17th century carpet, you understand the feeling behind it and the age. But if you copy it, you're copying the design. So in the internet, they're advertised as cloned Chinese carpets. No, they're not. It was in 1995 when I met this gentleman, Richard Kirby, in Fort Lauderdale. He wanted his passengers to come to Turkey, and each time they would buy carpets, they would come back to them for repeat business. So they wanted to understand how it should be presented. That's when I told him, satisfaction is guaranteed or your money is fully refunded policy with the government label must be installed. That is the topic of our conversation today, and it was born in 1995, and every cruise ship that ever comes to Turkey ever since uses that system. You have to provide guarantee to people if you do not want those carpets to be returned. 2020 Galata Port will be operational. Are we ready for it? Not only with Turkish Carpets, but all the venues, traffic, keeping people happy, safe. So we have to do a lot of thinking before that happens. For example, we have a beautiful new airport. We should have a duty-free around it, a duty-free zone where Turkish carpets are produced, tiles, pottery, jewelry produced, like in Dubai, sold to the world from right there. The Galata port is yet to come, so we must do a lot of preparation. Turkish carpets and Iranian carpets. Halı magazine, issue 40, has this beautiful picture of a 1970 hereke with 4,360 double nuts in 1 square inch. Until that time, the finest Iranian carpet was ever made with basically 3,250 single nuts in a square inch. So we are about 25% finer in that case. I'm not trying to, with all due respect to our Iranian counterparts, all I'm saying is, if the Turks could not spread the word around to the world that we have the finest carpets in the world, it's our mistake. Someone told me, when you point at someone, look, 2 fingers are pointing in that direction, 3 are pointing your way. So we have to be very careful with who we say all this. And basically speaking, now we have a hereke 50 by 50 at 16,125. How many people know this in the world? I'll leave it to you. What are collectibles? According to an American magazine, Fortune magazine 89, an American Cadillac was $5,700, but in 1989 it was $75,000. And then, that's a collectible. We have this painting of Rebecca and Adam and Eve, $3.5 million in 1989, a 17th century painting. Petrus wines, 1970 cost a bottle $450, whereas a 1961 cost 3 times as much. That's exactly how Yahyalı rugs are like. You can put 3 carpets in a row. One is brand new, one is 10 years old, and the other one is 50 years old. And the 50-year-older will be 3 times more expensive. So if you use it correctly, it will appreciate in value, like this 100-year-old Turkish specimen is worth $12,000 from Mucur in 1989. So Turkish carpets are collectibles. This book, written by my esteemed colleague Hüseyin Alantar, translated by Bob Beer, and was edited by myself in 2007. And this design, Rivers of Paradise, was one of those award-winning carpets by ICI company, and they won, in the last 11 years, 8 Atlanta Magnificent Carpet Awards. So we produce the finest carpets. But how many people know that? With this man, I was in Doha. This is Excellency Sheikh Faisal Al Thani. And he has this 600 collection, and even a 16th century hereke is there. So all of my expert colleagues, you must go to Doha and visit that place. I gave this carpet to our President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan to show my appreciation for all his work he has done for this country. And then, within these walls in America, I saw this in the National American Museum of American History in Washington. They were showing this house, which lasted 200 years. And then, this one right here is a carpet from 798 years old in the Islamic Fine Arts Museum. So 5 generations have lived in the house, and 20 generations have used this carpet. So the carpet will outlive anything you know. Not the family, the house, and everything. This is what I have. And I want to give this to the young people I met last night, wonderful artists. I'm holding it in the center, and I want them to hold this, to pass this to the future generations. And this side must be held by the government, by the president. So this flag will go to the future generations like in a track race. We have all these availabilities in the world. Don't just sit in your stores waiting for people to come and see you. I have done a presentation to Lima, Peru, using this camera from where I am. So you don't have to go there. They don't have to come to you. The business is there. The technology is there. In Yunus Emre Institute in Doha and Qatar, and also in Washington, is how we spread this soft power of Turkey to the world. And finally, in conclusion, if you depend mostly on high-tech exports and question how many kilos of peaches must be exported in return for an iPhone that is merchandised with high added value and undermine the importance of one of our most important tangible historic merchandise, the handmade Turkish carpets, then please remember a new model smartphone will outsmart the older one in 6 months. Your genuine handmade Turkish carpet will keep on appreciating its value, the more if you can use it smartly for as long as you live. I salute not only our soldiers saving our country, but also all the ladies who have made these carpets in the last 2,500 years. And I thank you all for coming very much.
Thank you. Wow. Evet, Aydın Eroğlu harika bir açılış konuşmasıydı. Gerçekten ilham veren. Çok çok teşekkür ediyoruz. O bayrak direğini de ya da sopasını da gençlere götürüyorsunuz herhalde, değil mi Aydın Bey şimdi? Evet, onlar da en iyi şekilde bir sonraki nesile aktarırlar. Ben doğru söylemişim, yaşasın Türk düğümü demiştim. Yaşıyormuş zaten. Hepimizden daha uzun. Evlerden daha uzun, insanlardan daha uzun, medeniyetlerden daha uzun yaşamaya devam etsin. Çok teşekkürler ediyoruz efendim Aydın Eroğlu'na. Sağ olun.
Ben teşekkür
Hocam
ederim.
çok teşekkürler ediyoruz. Ayağınıza, ağzınıza sağlık. Çok teşekkür ediyorum. Aydın Bey'i uğurlarken